Well, the one day that the idea is that there's going to be an artificial reality or a virtual reality that's so good that it's indistinguishable. I mean, this is almost inevitable. If technology increases at the same rate that it's increasing now, whether it's 50 years from now or 100 years from now, we're going to reach some point in time. So the real question is, when we do reach that, how will we know?
Well, what if we're already there?
Yes.
But if it is a simulation,
Yes.
how would we know?
So are we living in simulation?
I find it hard to argue against that possibility.
Meaning,
you look at our computing power today, and you say, I have the power to program a world inside of a computer. Well, imagine in the future where you have even more power than that, and you can create characters that have, for example, free will, or their own perception of free will. So this is a world, and I program in the laws that govern that world. That world will have its own laws of physics and chemistry and biology. Now you're a character in that world and you think you have free will, and you say, I want to invent a computer, so you do. Hey, I want to create a world in my computer. And then that world creates a world in its computer. And then you have simulations all the way down. So now you lay out all these universes and throw a dart. Which of these universes are you most likely to hit? The original one that started it, or the countless simulations, the daughter simulations that unfolded thereafter? You're going to hit one of the simulations. So statistically, based on that argument, which first appeared by a philosopher from Oxford named Nick Bostrom back in the 1990s, right when computers were becoming real enough to think this through, it's hard to argue against the possibility that all of us are not just the creation of some kid in a parent's basement programming up a world.
Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
What if you woke up one day and discovered that everything you've always taken for granted is not what it seems at all? What you thought was reality is actually a simulation, a very complex, sophisticated illusion that you live inside of. Even solid matter itself is no more real than, say, a rock that you would pick up in a dream. And not only are you living in a simulation, but it's being generated by a system that you can contact with your mind and actually change the simulation itself, in effect, hacking the universe. What would you do to change the world? Well, recent scientific discoveries are strongly suggesting that this is the case, that we live inside a simulation, and that we, as observers, have a demonstrable power over it. We are actually participating in the creation of the reality that we live in.
So the idea is, right, any sufficiently advanced civilization could create a simulation that's like our existence, and so the theory follows that maybe we're in the simulation.
I mean, like the strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. That 40 years ago, we had Pong, like two rectangles and a dot. That was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. They'll be indistinguishable. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be, billions of such, computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
So the assumption then is that somebody beat us to it, and this is a game.
Welcome aboard the Just Tie Now ship with your Captain Naga. During my psychedelic experience, I was woken up. Even a little bit before then, I had little hints and clues, like in TV shows and everything. Like, is this real? I've learned that most likely we are in a simulation. And definitely during my psychedelic experience, I just had to say it like that. Some people could say, oh, it was just chemicals and things blasting off in your brain. But what I experienced doesn't fit that model. Doesn't fit that model. And with all the science that's going on now, string theory, parallel universes, our intellect, our frontal cortex that's trying to figure out all this stuff is finally catching up to what I believe or know the ancients knew all along. That this world was created and that our consciousness was uploaded into it. And that in turn, this is like a robot. This is a robot body. But it's also still a temple. Just tie and keep that always in mind. But hey, it's a video game. And what we are here doing is what I remember. I'm not gonna say definite facts of what we all here doing in this video, but during my psychedelic experience, it felt as though I was a character in an awesome video game. I had a controller and I was like, walk. All right, I want to walk this way. Oh, what's that? Wow, look at that over there. Very interesting. Like everything was brand new. Like when you played Grand Theft Auto for the first time, he was like, wow, look at the sun. Oh wow, they put so much detail into this grass. Like you spend so much time in GTA 5 just riding around looking at the scenery. You're like, wow, they put a lot of detail into this. That's exactly how I felt. I looked around, everything was brand new. As if, and not even brand new, it just had a light to it. And it brought an attention, it begged for my attention. And I just gave it to it. I was all in. It's like, wow, this is where I am. And I saw that I felt as though the way I was dressed, meant stuff. And I was able to choose whatever I wanted to be. And you ever feel as though, like in a game, you ever play World of Warcraft, or if you play GTA Online, you're able to build up your character. You ever say, I want this haircut. This is the personality traits I want him to have. And then when you go out, you act out on those personality traits in the video game, answer certain questions, you choose what you want to do here and there, certain pathways laid out. But still, as in GTA, I love this example, it's still an open world and you can choose to do the missions or not. You can choose to just stand there in one spot and supposedly waste away. But it's just a simulation, so you're content with it. And you see everything going on around, and you're like, wow, I'm a part of all of this. And that was the dramatic feeling I got. And not only that this is a simulation, but that I'm a part of the simulation. And my thoughts have an impact on the simulation. And when I found that I was creating a simulation, or my part in the simulation was not doing good for me. I was like, hey, I don't want to do it that way anymore. And just like in the video game, you learn the cheat codes. It's like I had some cheat codes, but the cheat codes was always there. Just had to dig a little deep to find them. Had to find that strategy guide. Had to go online, dig into the brain, to the subconscious memory. And you had to go into that subconscious and bring out the formulas that I'm now able to use to shape my life with the confidence that I want it to be shaped in. And wherever that goes from there is wherever it takes me. But hey, this world is alive and it's programmed that way. It's programmed in ways that cannot even be put into full words and sentences, because those words and sentences are part of the program. That's like saying, describe a knife, and the knife is trying to describe itself to another knife. Like, man, you know. Or a person trying to say, I'm a person. And you can say that to different people and it means different things. But hey, I'm a person. Just ta. And I believe that there are editors and that there are things going on and they're writing scripts for this world. But we're a part of that picture. We just don't know it because we believe that this simulation is so real. We're so caught up in it. We're so caught up in it that when we feel despair, it's all we know. It's all we think about. It's all we live. And the psychedelic experience brought me back. It said, and I was brought out of it. And I was able to look back and say, wow, this is what I'm doing. This is not real. But it is real, but not real. It's what I'm doing for the moment. And that's why all your moments matter. Just tie. All your moments matter because that's all you are while you are here. Just tie. Just breathe. Amazing, right? So it's not a bad thing that we're in a simulation. It's just a moment thing. And moments sometimes ain't gonna be in your favor, supposedly, or the way it looks. But in the bigger picture, you created it, it's all in your favor. Everything is always in your favor. And that there's nothing to ever be afraid of. Hey, it's a lot to say about the simulation theory that's going on. Or what I say, the simulation that we're living in. We just can't comprehend it yet fully, but we feel it inside. And whatever my gut tells me, whatever's in my heart, I know it's true. Whatever my minds tell me, that's just what I had to tie about for a moment. But in my heart of hearts, I know that this is not it. And I know there's so much more. But that so much more can be brought here. Bring down the heaven to earth, as you always hear. Do your thing. With that, hey, that's all I got.